Hola chicos. So in this video, I just wanted to go through the assignment that I had with the adverbial clauses, the subjunctive and the adverbial clauses. I think you could probably get through this assignment okay. You probably figure it out, but you were probably not 100% certain about why you picked what you picked. And it's kind of tricky. We spent a lot of time with escapa words, and we haven't really done a lot with the phrases that don't line up with escapa. And there are some of those in here. But I think the idea behind the escapa words that we will use a subjunctive because they usually imply things that haven't happened yet. You understand that. So if we have that clause that modifies our verb in our first, the beginning part of our sentence in that first clause, the adverbial clause that modifies that action is if that action hasn't happened yet, then we use the subjunctive. If it has happened, we'll use the indicative. And actually to go on with that, if it's something that just happens regularly, then it's also going to be indicative. And then we also have to keep in mind if there's a change in subject or not, because if there's not a change in subject, then we're probably going to put it in the infinitive. So let's start. No podemos evitar el cambio climático a menos que todos. So you probably recognize the a menos que, unless we work together, unless. Again, that's usually something that implies that a menos que, that we have an action that hasn't happened yet, unless we do this. Usually that means that something hasn't happened. So that is the case here. And we'll go ahead and put trabajemos because we want to use the subjunctive form of trabajar. All right, no podemos conducir sin. Now, we can't drive, and we are the ones that are polluting the air. So we are unable to drive, and we are polluting. So we and we, nosotros and nosotros. There's no change in subject, which means we're going to put contaminar. Now, you might have recognized this should be in the infinitive because you just saw there wasn't a K in here. And that's true, but that's cheating a little bit. Absolutely use things to your advantage, though, find those keys. But I want you to understand the why. The reason why it's contaminar versus contaminemos is because it doesn't have a change in subject. All right. Siempre recogemos mucha basura cuando. So we're picking up lots of trash when we go to the park. Now, if this when we go to the park is something that hasn't happened yet, we would use, we're using nosotros actually here. And we would use vayamos if this action hasn't happened yet. But let's look more at the context. Siempre recogemos. So we always pick up lots of garbage when we go. So this is something that happens regularly, not something that's just happening once. So we didn't spend a lot of time with this kind of stuff. But remember, I really want you more familiar with the escapa words right now. But that's the idea behind this one. It's because this is what we always do when we go there. When we go there, this is what is done. So it's not something that hasn't happened yet. It's something that happens actually regularly. That's what's got that siempre is a big key. All right. Elisa habló con la presidenta del Club de Ecología después de que. So she spoke. We got past tense there with the president of the Ecology Club after the meeting. I would say probably ended, right? So this habló we got right here, that is in the past. Usually you'd see something in the future or in the present tense that gives off that future meaning whenever something hasn't happened yet in this other clause. So this is going to be indicative because it happened. She spoke with him after the meeting ended. This happened and it actually ended. So it's in the past tense as well. Terminó, being that it's preterite, it's completed. All right. Vamos de excursión para, and again, I think we can automatically recognize that there's no K here. We are going, we are observing. So we're going to use observar for this one. La contaminación, again, this is because there's no change in subject, if I didn't specify that. La contaminación va a ser un problema muy serio hasta que, until we until we do something. Now, right there, just in that context alone, without anything more, you probably should be thinking that this hasn't happened yet, right? Because we've got, the pollution is going to be a really serious problem until we change our systems of production and transportation. So have we done that yet? Have we changed that system? No, we have not. So to show that this is an action that hasn't happened yet, we're going to put this as cambiar, AR verb. So we change it to cambiemos así. El gobierno debe crear más parques nacionales antes de que. Okay, so right now we see the antes de que. That's an escapa word. So, or an escapa phrase. So we should recognize that. It's probably going to be subjunctive. But let's just see if it checks out. The government should create more national parks before the forests and rivers are completely polluted. Are they completely polluted right now? No, this context is saying that hasn't happened yet. But also remember, antes de que is a good, just kind of a good thing to recognize. Antes de que, if you're going to use that in a sentence, we're going to use the subjunctive after it. But we also want to understand why are we using the subjunctive, and it's estar, so we're going to put it in estén because of los bosques y ríos, plural subject, third person. La gente recicla con tal de que no escapa. That is the C, con tal de que is the C of escapa. So this is usually going to be a subjunctive trigger. La gente recicla, the people, people recycle as long as it's not difficult, as long as it is not difficult. So this is something that is, we don't know if it's going to be difficult or not. So we will use, and also this, again, escapa word, usually just going to be a subjunctive trigger. And it is going to be, in this case, as long as, we're just saying that as long as the process isn't difficult, the act of recycling isn't difficult. So we don't have a subject specified here, but we're basically saying that it is difficult as long as it is not hard. So sea is what we use here. Let's see how we do. And we got 100. So again, this is just, I wanted to put this assignment out there as a way to kind of, expand what we've already talked about with the escapa words, but nothing too crazy. And then just wanted to give you a little walkthrough to explain the reasoning behind why the answers were what they were, even if you're able to figure it out, but weren't exactly sure why this was the case. All right, hopefully this cleared up any of your confusion. All right, adios.